عالم بالدين فخر وابتهاج مثالا حاملا دين الرشاد أحمد شيخنا نورا لنا فقيها طائعا رب العباد أحمد شيخنا نورا لنا فقيها طائعا رب العباد أسست فينا خير أخلاق الرسول غرست فينا حبه فوق الفؤاد يا صاحب القرآن والنهج القويم يسوع بك الإسلام فخرا وعلا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As to your question pertaining to the athar of Umar and Sariya radiallahu anhuma, where Umar radiallahu an supposedly sent out an army with the general being a sahabi named Sariya, and as Umar radiallahu an was given the khutbah, he shouted out, "O Sariya, move to the mountain 3 times." Then a messenger from the army came to Umar radiallahu an and he said, "O leader of the believers, we were about to be defeated. Then we heard a warning shout saying, 'O Sariya, move to the mountain 3 times. So we moved to the mountain and turned our backs to it, and that's when we were able to defeat the enemy." Someone told Umar radiallahu an, "You were the one who shouted that." And it was said that there was a distance of a month between them, because Umar radiallahu an was in Medina and they were in the land of the Furs. The question is that some use this incident to allege some of the ilm of the ghaib, and let me answer it from different angles. First of all, the story has many chains. They're all clearly weak with the exception of one of them that's been authenticated by some ulama like Ibn Kathir and Al-Haythami and some contemporary ulama. However, if that chain that's been authenticated is further analyzed, you will see some issues with that as well, because it has Yahya ibn Ayyub and Ibn Ajlan who have been spoken about. But let's assume the athar is authentic, because what happened in it is something that's possible of happening. The story has nothing to do with Umar radiallahu anh knowing the ilm of ghaib, let alone anyone less than him or after him. The proofs in the Quran are clear and numerous on the fact that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the ilm of the ghaib. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, عالم الغيب فلا يظهر على غيبه أحدا إلا من ارتضى من رسول. If this story can be used by some to claim the knowledge of the ghaib or a portion of it, then the most one to have that status would be Umar radiallahu anh. He's the man of the story. And on top of that, Umar radiallahu anh is the man who the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said about him, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي مَا قَبْلَكُم مِّنَ الْأُمَمِ نَاسٌ مُحَدَّثُونَ فَإِنْ يَكُ فِي أُمَّتِي أَحَدٌ فَإِنَّهُ عُمَرٌ. Among the nations before were people who were inspired. Muhaddathin or mulhamin are terms that one is inspired. And if there was any such person in this ummah, it would be Umar radiallahu anh. That was said about Umar radiallahu anh. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said he was among the mulhamin. Yet he never said he knew the ilm of the ghaib, nor did he ever use that status or argument. If Umar knew the ilm of the ghaib, why would he ask Hudayfa radiallahu anh if his name is among the list of the names that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave him of the hypocrites? Umar and Hudayfa radiallahu anhuma were at a funeral and they were about to perform janazah, and Hudayfa held Umar back. He told him he's one of them, meaning that person who's dead is a hypocrite. Don't perform the janazah on him. Umar didn't know that. If Umar knew the ilm of the ghaib, he would have knew that. After that, Umar radiallahu anh told Hudayfa, نشدتك بالله أنا منهم قال لا. He asked Hudayfa radiallahu anh. Hudayfa, of course, is the man who the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam confided in him the list of the names of the hypocrites. He said, نشدتك بالله أنا منهم قال لا. He said, am I one of them? Umar asked him, am I one of those names on the list of the names that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave you? He said, no, and I will not inform anyone after you. All that proves that Umar radiallahu anh didn't know the ilm of the ghaib. Umar is the man of the story, the man who is a mulham, Yet he cited the truth in the start of the issue at Al-Hudaybiyah, when he wanted to fight and the Messenger ﷺ wanted to do the treaty. He cited the truth at the start of the issue with Al-Murtaddin. Him and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma went back and forth on the issue. He cited the truth in the beginning of the matter when the Messenger ﷺ died, and he said he's not dead, that he will return. When the arguments got heated, in all those incidents, he never said, I'm correct because I have the ilm of the ghaib, or boast that my opinion gains more weight because I am a mulham. He never said that. He never declared that. If Umar radiallahu anh didn't and wouldn't impose his opinion on others when he disagreed with them based on the fact that he's a mulham, when he was declared so by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then how can anyone affirm anything based on ilham or kashf or firasa? If Umar radiallahu anh was mulham, and he's the man of the story here, yet he cited the truth, how can anyone else's ilham or kashf be considered 100% truthful? Imagine when it's someone who commits major shirk or bid'ah. Now, assuming the story is authentic, and I don't believe it to be so, the story has nothing to do with Umar radiallahu anh knowing the ilm of the ghaib. It's what's referred to as ilham or kashf or firasa, which overall are terms that mean inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are karamat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants some of his servants. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said some matters, some knowledge may be known to servants due to their strong iman and nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may inspire his servants. Truth may come on the tongue of some of the servants. It's like when some have thoughts, and when they express those thoughts, it's as though they've been informed or inspired. Especially when those thoughts become a reality. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said, when one is close to Allah and he believes in him as if he sees him, and he feels an ultimate nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah may bless him with firasa. And he said, my Shejh, his Shejh Ibn Taymiyyah, around the year of 699 after the Hijrah, Ibn Taymiyyah informed and foresaw that the Tatar will enter Sham and defeat the Muslims, and he mentioned some details about that incident that will happen before it happened, before the Tatar even made a move. And in another incident, some years later, 702 years after the Hijrah, when the Tatar were about to move and invade Sham, he said this time they will be defeated. And he gave 70 oaths on that. So much that the sweets of victory were being passed out before they even went to meet the enemy. Do we say Ibn Taymiyyah knew the ilm of the ghaib? Ma'adallah. What's predicted before it becomes a reality is taken with skepticism, and nothing should be based on it. Because it could be ilham from Allah, inspiration, or it could be from the nafs, or it could be from the shaitan. Once it occurs and that person is someone righteous on tawheed and appears to be so, we say, insha'Allah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it was ilham or keshf or firasa as a karama to this individual. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala taught us that. Ibn Taymiyyah said the people blessed with keshf are correct at times and they make mistakes at times. He said they're similar to the people of ijtihad. The people of ijtihad make mistakes at times and they're correct at times. He said that's why they need to stick to the Quran and the Sunnah. He said the master of the muhaddathin, the mulhameen of this ummah is Umar radiallahu anh. And he would return to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to ask him about situations. Some of Ahl-Sunnah go to an extreme in denying keshf or firasa due to their ignorance and also due to the extreme some Sufis took it to. Even though some of the Sufis, like a Shadili and a Ta'i, said that if Keshf contradicts the Quran, we don't take it. But in practice, it's different than that among many of them. Some of them say that when one reaches the level of a wali, they don't need to fear the hadith of the nafs, the internal thoughts. Meaning, what they speak is clearly kashf. They have no internal thoughts. They don't have any of the hadith of the nafs that normal people have. And how can anyone predict that they are a wali? A person surely affirming himself as a wali takes himself out of that status by saying that. If he ever was a wali, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. The kashf to some of the Sufiya has become at times a source of legislation and a talaqqi. They depend on it, basing lots of matters on it. Some give it the status of revelation with some differences among them. Some use kashf to authenticate a hadith or make up awrad and adhkar, or to get internal, personal, special meanings from the ayat of the Quran, or rulings on matters like the fana of the nar, the vanishing of Jahannam. Ahl-Sunnah say kashf could happen to those who are deviant and those who are righteous. And that's why nothing should be based on it. Sometimes it could be from the shaitan, sometimes from the nafs, similar to dreams. And it can't be confirmed as an inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musaylama supposedly told his followers what they do in their houses and what they tell their wives. Who other than the shaitan informed him of that to fool people? Some stuff like that may even happen to the kuffar at times. Part of the fitna of the Dajjal is something bigger than that. He will command the sky to rain and it will rain. He'll command the earth to bring forth vegetation and it will do so. Some deviants may walk on oceans and fly while committing shirk. When firasa, ilham, happen from someone who appears to be righteous on tawheed, it's a karama. When it happens to a mushrik or a deviant, it's istidraj. It's Allah taking them step by step to their ruin. Sometimes the kashf may not be accurate even if someone is truthful. When someone's not a ma'soom, when someone's not infallible, and we're all not infallible, errors and mistakes remain a possibility. So one who is of that status, you can't take his kashf, or what appears to be his kashf or ilham, as decisive proof. Ahl-Sunnah accept that one may have firasa or kashf as a karama from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his awliya. However, kashf and ilham and firasa among Ahl-Sunnah is not confirmed. As I said, it best resembles a dream. Some may have firasa or kashf, then events prove what they had was accurate. Someone could have the firasa by seeing and speaking to someone that they're in reality agents trying to entrap and not true students of knowledge as they portray themselves. Nothing can be based on that firasa at that point. But then the days go on and it's proven in reality that that firasa was right. When that person, for example, gets exposed when he is testifying against Muslims that he entrapped. And it happened many times to people who are righteous. Prior to it being proven, it's taken like a dream with skepticism, unless and until there's confirmed proof. The Sheikh of our Shuyukh al-Shanqiti, rahimahullah ta'ala, sums it up when he said, the ilham to the awliya cannot be used as proof for anything, because they're not infallible and there's no proof that it can be used. He said, in fact, the proof deters from using it. And he said, what some Sufis claim about ilham, is batil because it has no proof. You can't have confidence in the thoughts and reflections of someone who is not a ma'soom, who is not infallible, because it can be from the shaitan. And the side issue for those who seek ilham and karamat and make it a goal to do so, let me say that istiqama on the pure tawheed and being steadfast on it is the mightiest ilham in keshf, in karama one can get. The mightiest keshf is the keshf of knowing the path of the truth from the path of the evil. Karamat in keshf shouldn't be a goal for a muwahhid or a muwahhida. The goal is to establish the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to excel into becoming one of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If one reaches that level, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may grant him or her keshf in karamat for a benefit in the deen or dunya, and it may not happen as well. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.